And all, welcome back. Sunday night, 7 o'clock, Rags and Jacks. Our special guest tonight will be running late. He'll be here in about 15 minutes, so we'll be able to fill in. If you do want to donate, you can. If you don't have to. Don't care. All the other links to our platforms are in the description. And you will find us on Rumble and Odyssey, not on BitChute anymore. Is that right? No?
That's right.
That's right. So, let's do a roll call.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. How are you doing? It's another Sunday, and yeah, Woodlander. I think he's gone to make sure he's probably been burning again today, Rags, and I think he's gone to make sure he's washed off his Hitler moustache from his sooty Hitler moustache from his stream the other night. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, William, hello, mate. It's always good to see you. Finish Robin. Refuse Nick Sean, good to see you, mate. Sensum, hello, buddy. Thanks for reaching out. Tic Tac, Chaz Smash, but Toffee. Yeah, he's meant to be pretty interesting. We have quite a history in nationalism and everything. So yeah, we'll see what he's like. We might have him back on.
Mouse Cat.
Sheila's Dr. Dot. Hello, buddy. And I just seen Mouse Cat.
Hooks is on. Yeah,
Rags hasn't even mentioned it. I hadn't put it on until we put the introduction video on, but he's just being blasé.
He walks about Ballymoney with a Christ is King t-shirt on, and nobody fucking bats an eye.
No. Yeah. Hoax, good evening, mate. Hello, Mouse Cat, buddy. Tic Tac, if I haven't said hello. Yeah, couple of stream cucks tonight, so we might get a dump from other streams in a little bit. But yeah, so been another busy week in the news. What could we start with that would be a good topic not to? Can we?
First 4 minutes. Remember the first 4 minutes. Don't swear.
7 seconds. You're not allowed to swear.
4 minutes or something it is. Don't swear and don't say anything.
Can we discuss Virginia Guthrie suicide? Well, I don't think it was suicide. If that's what you're. I think if you. I mean, it doesn't pass the sniff test to me anyway.
Is that the young girl that shot herself twice in the face with a shotgun?
None of that's been released, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. She had plenty of enemies out there. I think it was probably an intelligence. I wonder what William thinks about it. But I think it's probably a joint intelligence service job. What is it, like 2 weeks ago? She was involved in a car crash with a school bus that apparently came out of nowhere and flipped her car or whatever, and she was really badly stuffed up. Yeah, so I don't know. Yes, Sheila. Getcha. There you go.
Well, we have to mention for thingy, but Budgie Burger. We do have to mention the Kinks and the Who. I'm a big fan.
Go. Consider them mentioned. So yeah. So what do you think about that then? Do you think it was suicide or what?
I think she was Hillary Clinton.
Clinton side. Hillary. Yeah. Hello, Daniel, mate. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me, mate. But who knows? Who the fuck knows? She's obviously a very troubled young individual. You know what she was put through and stuff, and obviously. She had a big. Now I've heard different things, so God knows what's true. But I heard that she's was going through a divorce, and she'd had her children taken off of her. She had visited orders and stuff like that. So yeah. Put it this way: dead men don't talk. Yeah. So,
and you just before we went live, you were telling me about a van had went on a rampage.
Oh yeah, Vancouver. I think it was a one of these SUVs or a pickup truck or something. Well, it wasn't a van that went on a rampage, was it? It was a man in a van.
No, you have to say it was a van on the rampages.
Yeah, it was a self-driving Autobot. It just went crazy. I believe the death toll's up to 11 now, but Vancouver, it's another enriched part of the Anglosphere, isn't it? So, yes. Well, you don't normally get mass casualty events from the Hindus. I will just say.
Yeah.
It's not normally the head shakers. It's normally the fucking foaming at the mouth. Fucking rabid.
Well, that's true, Rach. That is very true. They've actually started deporting them now. Australia has started deporting certain ethnic group of people, getting rid of them.
Which are what, the Indians?
The Pakistanis.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So we got ethnic blood feuds playing out on the street, so all over the Anglosphere as well. Because of a terrorist attack by some...
Greatest idea the West ever had. Invite two nations that absolutely fucking can't stand each other into your own homeland. Wow. Fucking genius.
Yeah.
Let's have the Pakistanis here and the Indians here. Yeah. Muslims and Sikhs. Yeah. They do. They get on. They
assimilate. They're assimilate because they're on the magic soil.
Yeah. They'll be barbecuing and taking the dog
out. They'll have cookouts. They'll be sharing curry recipes.
Yeah.
I've got something in my eye. Yeah. So you saw
your finger
footage from London Starn yesterday, where you had Team A on one side and Team B, and they're all doing throat slits and each other. Again, our police have to go and police that.
They're like wild animals.
We, our at the moment, just about still sort of majority white police force have to go out and get in between those fucking barbarians. So, yes, well, that's the plan for the next 4 weeks. I'm going to do the whole characters. So 1 week I'll be a Red Indian. Don't worry about that.
Don't worry, folks. I'll guarantee he probably has a pair of fucking assless chaps in that bedroom on there somewhere. A big fucking hairy ring piece hanging out of
them.
Young man.
Yeah. But Klingons and Romulans would get on better than the Indians and Pakistanis. Yeah, you're right there, Pat. Right? Yeah, I think you're probably right there. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
You're getting Rachel.
It's believable, actually.
You're getting Rachel excited.
Unbelievable. Oh, we need to cut the thank yous to Field Marshal Don and John Palmer for coffee.
Yeah.
Thank you for the coffees.
Rachel's loving the assless chaps.
I think I look like the guy who run the Costa Concordia into the fucking rocks. Even love you, truth, pal.
Captain Birdsey.
Yeah, but they changed that, didn't they? They had to change that because it started to look a bit too noncy, that advert, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then I believe now he actually makes the statement, when I'm out on the boat with my grandchildren, instead of just random children.
Tricky Bacon's in.
When he's not doing a, what was it, Lord Mountbatten off the coast of Ireland. Yeah. But, right, so we're about 5 minutes away from things coming in. So, yeah, well, we've got loads to talk about with Woodlander. I don't know if we'll bring it back up when he's back on, but I don't know if any of you saw the police training video that got leaked. I don't know if it was leaked or it was allowed to be shown, but it's like a riot squad and they're in like a mock-up town, like a mock-up cities, like what the army do in the built-up areas and stuff. And there's a riot going on, but the antagonist has got what's it, a Union Jack thing around his arm.
Here if you want.
Yeah, show that. Roll VP.
Yeah. Present. This is all changed now. Fucking StreamYard. Just gives you weird stuff. This is the training exercise Jack's talking about, folks. I will press play. That's the one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, what's this here? What's this here?
Yeah. So they're planning for something. They set his feet on fire. Do you remember in the Do you remember that in the summer of George Floyd, when you had all the riots, that policeman's feet was on fire and he was doing that dance, and they were putting all different bits of music underneath it. Yeah, it's fucking mad. So they're planning for something. I think it's going to be a long, hot summer anyway. Not weather-wise. I think sort of pressure-wise in the UK, with nothing being done to appease the nativists. And, they need to make it more lifelike, don't they? Right. Yeah. Every other shop's a Turkish barber.
Vape shops. You need vape shops too. Right. Anyway, without further ado, if I can get a word on sideways, the Woodlander.
You won't get a word in sideways now, I'm here, mate.
It's like a left and right flank attack now, isn't it?
Yeah. How are you both? You both good?
Yes, we're both good. So how's your health now?
It's manageable, mate, and that's kind of that's fine for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not 100%, but
did you pick up on the fact that last week when you were streaming with Joe Marsh, that you I don't know if you'd had a burn or something, but you had a big soot mark right there. Did you know? Before you come on laughing.
I got a message from Toffee after the stream saying, mate, go and have a check the mirror. You've been doing the whole stream like with a fucking moustache.
You're just a big fan of Charlie Chaplin, aren't you?
It was mental, wasn't it? I've been spraying that Freelander. I bought a Freelander not long ago, and it's a wreck, right? It was a shed. But I've got a mate of mine who's a mechanic who had a look through it, and he was like, mate, it's 100%. Literally, it's only done 70,000 miles. It's nearly 30 years old. It's like one owner. But the inside of it was just wrecked. So I sprayed all the dashboard, stripped all the plastics out, cleaned them, redid them. I spent the day spraying, and I had this fucking black spray mark.
Well, I thought you'd been for a burn, and perhaps you got a bit of soot and watching that.
The weird thing was, right at the end of the stream, Joe put it up big on like the centre screen. Was the first time I'd actually. Usually, it was just like the little bit in the corner.
Yeah.
And I thought, what on earth is that underneath my nose? And I was trying to get it off, and I thought, oh no, man, I got spray paint all over my face. But it was just one of those things.
You're making a statement.
One of those things.
No, well, it's good to see you. Right, and it's good to see. I've been watching you building the cabin, starting to build the cabin. How's that getting on?
That's good. We're doing it slow, just really, so people can just follow it all the way through without it being sort of a time lapse thing. And it's the first time Joe's ever done anything like that. So for him, it's like a real big learning curve. I had him on a petrol auger the other day.
I saw that. He said it's a lot harder than it looks.
Well, it was when he hit that half-inch of slate, and it just spun him round the mountain, which was it. That was quite fun. But yeah, he's getting the hang of it now.
They're a dangerous bit of kit if you you hit like a great big bit of flint or something like that. You certainly know about it.
Yeah, but
I've used it myself.
It's learning things like that, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And he'd never used one, and we had someone else there as well, and they'd never used one, so they got to have a go on it as well. And you can kind of just tell the difference then between back-breaking work, digging holes yourself, and using a bit of kit, and how you can use it and what it's good for. So yeah, it's all good. It's coming on, and hopefully by the end of May they should be up and being used for forestry purposes.
Yes, brilliant. Yeah, I worked. Everyone knows this. I used to work in high voltage electric, and sometimes you get these substations were all built on reclaimed ground.
Yeah,
and sometimes the equipment's too close. You can't get any automatic. You can't get any diggers or anything like that. And so all trenches have got to be hand dug.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, after a day where your hand has been ding every now and then, because you little trenching shovel, little 4-inch trenching shovel, just to run little cables through, and every time you bang your wrist off a flint, and the thing is, your trench, because it's all flint and all over the place, your trench ends up being all staggered because you have to pull out these bits of.
Well, much the same thing. When I first built the cabin I'm in, I wanted to sink some posts just into the ground, and sort of every sort of 10 foot, and you can't do it in the woodlands. You just cannot do it. You go down, you'll get one, it'll be absolutely perfect. You'll go down 12 inches and you think that's excellent, I'll sink the post in there. You go on 10 foot, you get down 2 inches, there's a tree root. You think, well, okay, I'll come back a bit, there's another tree root, and the tree they're on it can be like 50 foot away. Do you know what I mean? And there's just roots, so many, and you can't keep on cutting through it because you destroy the trees. So in the end, I did the foundations here with I built up, so I just put 60 ton of crushed concrete down, then got a laser leveled the corners out, and then just built the framework round on top of that. Which is a much easier way of doing it, and then just hoped that the building, once that was on as well, would be so heavy that the wind wouldn't blow it away. And 10 years now, so it's a decade it's been up.
You've had no subsidence.
No, none, not a thing.
Woody,
yeah, it's all good.
You can't see the chat, but there was a question there by. We put that in the chat. Bert. Have you factored in compulsory purchase orders?
Yeah, well, yes, I have. There's a funny story with that. So people have been saying this since I started the initiative. A load of people have been going, what if they just buy the land or snatch it from you? It's the state, And I'll be honest with you, the state are like looking. And if they can stop it, they will. But we have a very good bunch of solicitors, and I mean a group of solicitors, not just one, working on this, who are well aware of the situation and well aware that it can be circumnavigated, let's put it that way. But there's some work that needs to be done to do that and to ensure that the land is safe, the club is safe, and the money is safe, and can't be frozen, because it's not just compulsory purchase order. If you were aware that not too far back, a couple of months ago, there was an organisation called Blood and Honour that wasn't prescribed because it's not a terrorist organisation, but they wanted to shut it down. So what they did is they just froze its assets. They froze its bank accounts, and they froze the bank accounts of anyone connected with it.
A bit like what they did to Mark and Laura.
That's on an individual basis, but they did it to an organisation. So they highlighted that, okay, this organisation we don't like. For whatever reason, we can't prescribe them, because they're not linked to terrorism, or we can't find a viable link, and we can't really make one up. What we can do, though, is say that their literature might edge that way, so we're just going to freeze their assets, and they can do that. So we've got to, when that happened, I thought, well, what's stopping them how can we stop them doing that? Because if they can do that to an organisation that they can't prescribe, but they just don't like, it's a possibility. So I again went to the solicitors and spoke to them, and they've poured through everything they can do. And it's being restructured at the moment so that can't happen. The land can't be taken. But these things take time.
Yes. But
which
do
is
you remember, say, back during the pandemic, the Irish government talked about they were bringing in people during that time when everybody was locked in and couldn't go 5 kilometres from their house.
Horticultural experts.
Horticultural experts. And they were talking about taking people's second homes. They have a wee holiday home in Donegal, wee cottage, and giving it just to fucking strangers.
Well, I mean, that's
the Second World War. That was brought in the Second World War, and hasn't been used since.
No, but it's still on statute books and can be tweaked.
Well, you can bill it, people. Is it bill it in?
Yeah. So there's loads of things, right, which are happening at the moment, which we kind of took our eye off the ball after what happened 5 years ago. Everybody was kind of aware that what's the end game here, and people were looking at what are they actually playing at? What's the end game with a digital ID and digital currency, and all these other things which are now in place. I mean, the digital ID is already here. It's been rolled out voluntary, but they will do with that what they've done with cash. So they will just start having organisations saying, well, yeah, obviously, but if you want to do your tax return, you've got to download the app, because that's the only way we're doing it now. If you want to use the NHS, then you need the ID number. All you've got to do is scan this QR code. That'll give you the ID number. Then we can, then you can see the dentist.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how they're going to get people on it. Exactly what they've done with cash. People don't use cash now because try and find a bank.
Well,
you can't use a cash point machine. The only one available is in the supermarket. That one's broke down. All the banks in your town are closed. You can't pay money into a bank. You can't get cash out of a bank. Right? If you do put cash in, they want to know where it's from, right? Who paid it to you? Was it work related? Do you know what I mean? For most people, this is just too much trouble, too much grief. So I'll use a card instead. So they've eradicated the use of cash. Go into a high street pizza place, you can't pay with cash. They don't accept it. Haven't done for the last 5 years since COVID. You go and try and buy a coffee in Costa, it's card only now in the town I live in. Do you know what I mean? So all these things are happening. Like, so there will be no cash. There will be a digital currency. You will have a digital ID, right? There will be no online, being anonymous online. That'll be a thing of the past. They're going to tie that into the online safety bill. They'll say people are still getting around it. There's still all this hideous stuff online. It's really harmful for children. Children are seeing this. What we need is a way that we can stop it. And the best way is a digital ID. Before you can use social media or log on to the internet, you'll need to put in your digital ID.
Yeah. Well, here in Ballymoney, it used to be every street had a cash machine on it. And the main street, Church Street, had the Nationwide, Santander, Bank of Ireland, and what do you call that other one? I can't mind. Danske. The only one that's left is Danske. Yeah. And there's only 2 cash machines left in a population of 30,000 people.
Yeah, and what you'll find is that people stop using it because it's it's too much trouble to use. You go into a business, they don't accept it. If you've got cash on you, you can't pay it into the bank because the nearest one's 15 miles away.
Yep.
So do you know what I mean? So it's like I can't spend it and I can't put it in a bank. So people stop. And that's obvious. So, but this is what the British government are really good at. So they came out and said, we're not going to get rid of cash unless people stop using it. What we will do, though, what they didn't say is, what we will do is we're going to shut down all of your banks and make it nearly impossible, even if you can get to one, to put money in it.
Yeah.
Or take your own money out. So if you try and get £1,000 out of your bank, right, they will want to know, what's it for? And if you say, I'm not going to, that's none of your business, they won't let you have it. And they're quite within their rights to do that as well. When you pay your money into a bank, it's no longer your money, it's the bank's money. Most people know this. And they don't have to give you their money. It's all in terms and conditions.
Which no one reads.
It's a 50-page document, and everyone just says, yeah, because they think it's my money, I can get it out. And you can't. You've got to tell them what it's for. And down to the point now, you will have to prove what it's for. There's no point you said, I'm going to buy a motorbike. They'll say, great. What motorbike? What's the registration number? Who are you buying it off?
Yeah.
And they're going to hit you every which way. So you go and give your mate a hand building his conservatory. Over a weekend, he says, can you give me a hand? There's £100 in it for you. You go down, you give him a hand over the weekend. He paid you £100. You go and pay it in the bank. The bank says, what's that for? Where'd that come from? You say, well, I gave me a mate a hand building his conservatory. They said, okay, great. Did you declare that? Did you declare that as work to HMRC? And you're like, well, no, I was just doing me mate a favour. So you got paid for work and you didn't declare it, which is a criminal offence. So they got you banged the rights already. Well, and we're now, we've got to inform HMRC that you're doing work and not declaring it. Do you know what I mean? How many times would that have to happen before people go, I don't want anything to do with cash? Because it's just too much drama.
Do you remember, you're probably not a big TV watcher. I watch GB News and your man Patrick Christie, and they were talking about the digital ID, and the government says, well, it makes things easier for people, this, that, and that. And then they done a freedom of information thing, and it turns out there's 3 million people in Britain, mostly pensioners, that only deal in cash. They go to the post office. But
they're trying really hard to get rid of pensioners. I mean, they tried 5 years ago just by starving the poor buggers to death in old people's homes and injecting them with God knows what. And that didn't finish them all off. So come the winter time, we would just take away any money they were spending on heating, put the heating prices up so high that no one can afford it. And then hopefully they'll all be dead. And then the only people around are people stuck on their smartphones. And I say that using a bloody smartphone myself.
Yes.
But it is creeping, and not even creeping. They never stopped. Behind the scenes, all of this stuff was still rolling on. Like all the infrastructure's there. You now can't protest without being arrested for it. The banks are shut down, so cash isn't being used. So they're going to have to introduce something else. They'll make it really, really attractive to the man in the street. They'll write off some of your debt and give you a bung, give you something to put in your back pocket once you start using digital currency. You will need a digital ID to go with that. Otherwise, they won't know who they're paying it to. So now you've got your digital ID, you've got your digital currency. And as we just found out, they're going to build 1.5 million homes.
Yeah, I had that to bring up, yeah.
Mate, that just blew my head. When I read the article straight from the horse's mouth, some of the stuff they're going to do. And it's horrific. So not only will you be unable to say whatever you want online because they'll just nick you for it, and be able to trace you, you're going to have to accept their currency, which they can do anything they want. It'll be totally programmable. They could make it so that it only lasts a month, only lasts 3 months. So you've got to spend it. You can't save.
Can't accumulate any wealth.
No, you can't accumulate any wealth. I mean, that's something I could go into anyway. What they've been doing for the last 10 years, the last decade, the schemes that they've introduced to ensure that people sat with wealth and equity, right, or anything that's worth anything, is now being encouraged constantly, right, to get rid of it, to actually use it up before you pass away. I've lost count of all of the different companies and adverts I hear on local radio stations. If you've got some gold and silver and jewelry and platinum and palladium and whatever, for God's sake, don't pass that down to your kids, right? Because they might be able to sell that and buy a house. No, what you want to do is send it to us, to Cash Cow or whatever it is. What we'll do is we'll send you half of what it's worth, and you can go on a little cruise to Norway. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
And the adverts are so infuriating. It was so easy.
Oh, yeah, of course it was so easy. And people think that this isn't top down. It's just a company came up with that idea. And the other one was they introduced, you got equity in your house, you got a house that's worth some money, and you got like £100,000 in it. Don't leave that to your kids, for God's sake. What we'll do is we'll give you the 100 grand, right? So your house is worth nothing by the time they get it, and you can go on a little holiday to Norway. So they, all the way for over a decade, they've been introducing all of these different schemes to ensure that there is no wealth passed down.
They don't want you to inherit wealth. They want you to inherit debt.
Yes.
The only people that were passing on stuff that was worth money, guess who they were? Farmers, landowners. Right? They haven't got shed loads of money. What they have got is a lot of land, the farmland, and that
machinery
is worth money. Right, so they're getting rid of that. They will hit farmers every which way, right, until they just give up. Until they give up.
Same. See, plots here going through the roof, because we are getting an influx of not Indians or Africans or anything like that. There, we're getting an influx of Welsh, English, and Scottish.
Yeah,
because they're fleeing.
Treat them well, my friend, when you come across them, right? Because they could well be the people that help you out. They're fleeing from something, and they ain't going to want it to come there after them.
Yeah, they know that, because the last boy that came to do my electric meter was an English fella, and I says, "Where's that accent from?" And he said it was Yorkshire or something. And I says, "What are you doing over here? There's not plenty of work in England." He says, there probably is. He says, "But it's a nicer, quieter life over here." You know? Slower pace.
That's code, isn't it?
That's code.
You don't have to dodge a machete-wielding fucking psychopath or shit or needles.
Mate, it's like every which way. The last 2 weeks, right, I've had to try really hard, right, to not just be utterly depressed, because every which way I looked, you can go back and watch a couple of my videos from 5 years ago, right, and they weren't black pills, because there was always solutions, right, but the end result of what these people want, right, is just happening. It's happening. They're not stopping, right. They are going to take away everything, because they understand. Throughout history, they've used money, right, as a control mechanism.
Yeah.
So they control huge populations with money. So you have to go to school, get your qualifications. You get your qualifications so you can get a good job, apparently. You get your good job, right, and they will pay you survival money. So and there you are. For the rest of your life now, is geared around everything you do, right, is geared around getting that money. Right? You get that money so that you can eat, so that you can pay for accommodation, so that you can do some fun shit, right? Everything revolves around getting that money. And they've got you. They can control you already. They lower your money, you can't do anything. It's that simple. If they want to stop you going abroad, they put the prices up and your money down. Now you can't go abroad, can you? They haven't stopped you going abroad. They just make it impossible for you to do it. So that has been used for like generations after generations. They now realise they don't need to do that. they can control a population with rules. Now, coming into the digital age, you are going to see China on steroids in the UK with a social credit system, which people will suddenly wake up to and wonder how on earth it ever got like this, where you can't leave your town. You're not allowed to leave.
15-minute cities.
15-minute cities, 20-minute neighbourhoods are already in place. I've been saying this for the last 3 years. The little sleepy town just down the road from me has already gone through the Agenda 30 tick list. So on that tick list, it sounds great. So you've got to have entertainment facilities, you've got to have green spaces. Now, they say green spaces, right? It doesn't mean you can use them. They just have to be there. Mm-hmm. So the council went, okay, that green space over there is now our green space. It didn't belong to the council, belongs to private owners who kicked up a bit of a stink, and the council were like, tough. That's now that town's green space. You can't use it for anything. So green spaces, you need schools, some sort of medical facility, all of these. So this little town has already ticked all of those off, backed up with 5G CCTV cameras on every single road in and out, and the town centre. It did have 2 security cameras, right, which was quite sufficient. Up the high street, the pubs all have their own anyway. It's now got 54.
Yeah.
54. So when they say, for the sake of the environment, you can't leave. And they're going to say it. Or you can leave, but only once a week. And then only if you've been good. Because if you've done anything naughty, like post that meme, and we know it was you because we've got your digital ID, you ain't leaving this year. You stay in that neighbourhood. You'll spend your digital currency exactly where we tell you to spend it, and you will spend it on exactly what we tell you to spend it on. That's where we're heading.
So, when they used to show you like a video of like people walking around in China, and it's got all the squares around their faces and everything, and it's that, isn't it? It's the complete surveillance state.
I spoke to the people that fitted the CCTV cameras, right, in the town. And I've spoken to 3 people since then as well. It's not the cameras, it's the software. And the software that they've got has got facial recognition, number plate recognition, can be upgraded. It's even got biometrics, right? So they can clock someone at the top of town, right? And pick him up again later by the way he walks.
Yeah.
Why would you need that?
We discussed this, Simon, one night, and we were talking about Johnny Adair and how Johnny Adair was caught, and this is over 20 years ago. And he had a black balaclava on and full blacked out gear and stuff, and the leather gloves, and they picked him out from his body shape.
Yeah. This stuff has been around, right? But now it's going into every single town. Every single city. They're blocking off roads. I had a chat the other day with a bloke that does a load of deliveries in London. And he's like, any other city I can get in, I can drive around. He said, but London's being used as a test area for the ULIS and the clean air zones. And those cameras are all going in. As much as there's people out there cutting them down, they're just replacing them again. But he said the amount of roads that they just keep on blocking off roads. They put metal bollards in, all these planters in, so now you can't get down them. So, like, even the taxi drivers are finding that they've got to drop people off. Like, they've got to walk half a mile. Right? Disabled people, women late at night. Well, it's as close as I can get, love. Without a 3-hour journey around London to drop you the other end.
Yeah, ambulance as well. The ambulance service, they couldn't get through to 999 calls. People fucking. Then there was somebody sent me a phone. Somebody had sent me a recording of a phone call, and it was an Northern Irish guy in an ambulance, but he was an ambulance driver in England, and he said there was a 999 call for a guy with a heart attack, and halfway there they were diverted to an asylum seeker in a refugee hotel who had a cough.
Yeah, I can well believe it, mate.
Then they were diverted to somebody else who had severe cramps and diarrhea in another asylum hotel. And by the time they got to the actual native Englishman that was having a heart attack,
He was
he
dead.
died. Yes.
Yeah, mate, I can literally well believe it, and it's not their fault either. Like the ambulance crews do a blinding job, and I know this, right, because I spent a whole day with one the other week, and I went through a lot of shit with them, like talking about why on earth. So they took me to the hospital, and then I'm like, right, okay, thank you very much, lads, and they were like, no, we got to stay. I mean, what do you mean you got to stay?
Hand you over.
Well, you've got to stay in the ambulance until you can see a doctor. I'm like, well, why can't I go and wait in there? They're like, no, you can't do that because there's no doctor. Your class is an emergency, and we're capable of looking after you, but there's no one in there who is. And I'm like, well, where are they all then? And they're like, well, it's probably going to take 6-7 hours. And I'm like, so what are you doing for 6-7 hours? Well, we'll just sit here with you. And they're like, we didn't sign up, right, to be sat in a car park working for the hospital. We signed up to be paramedics out there helping people, picking them up, dropping them off. They're sick and tired of it. And he said, and every single week we get another directive, which is these people are top of the list, go there first. These people are top of the list, go there first. So if you get a call, there's an old lady falling down the stairs, we're on our way there. Sorry, we got to swap. Stop, turn around, go to Swindon and sort out that new fella who's got a sprained ankle. Mm-hmm. He's top of the list. It's doing their head in as well. But this is going on everywhere. Everything's falling apart, and you are starting to see people get sick and tired of it. I don't know if you saw the recent video by that Marine.
Yes.
Yeah.
A brilliant video. A very articulate young man.
Yeah.
Put his case forward, very, very well. And I hope that thing gets seen by a lot of people, because it just goes to show that it's way up high where these decisions are made, right? Mm-hmm. And it sometimes it's above government. I think we know that, right? Yeah. And it filters down, and all our governments are just lackeys, right? They're just lapdogs for the people that are really running the show. It doesn't look brilliant at the moment. It really doesn't. There are things we can do. They have tried to stop what we were doing several ways. They tried by shutting bank accounts down. Didn't work. We moved on. They've tried harassing me. That didn't work. What was very funny was last week, we knew what was happening. So I spent a long time with the solicitors and accountants over the last 9 months. So we knew that we were going to get a fine for late accounts, but that didn't matter. We were well aware of it. However, late accounts does trigger some things from Companies House, which we were well aware of. But the reaction from some of the left was absolutely hysterical, man, because they were like, that's it, it's finished. They're all going to die, and we're going to take the lot, and everyone can wave. And the very next day, they had to go on and go, well, we had that a bit wrong. We had that wrong. They were still here, which was brilliant for us. But so they will try and stop. But, it's getting the right people in place, moving forward, getting things done correctly, which we've done. So they can't touch us, which is really good.
Right, I'm going to share the link to the Royal Marine video in the chat, because it's really important that people watch that and see what we're up against.
Yeah, man, it is.
Yeah. Angry Bootneck reached out to his brother, who's uploaded it all. A guy who goes under the name Plastic Scott. He was in Bootneck's chat last night, and Bootneck's trying to get him on for a more sort of, I don't think the guy who's still currently serving can speak, right? He'll have all sorts of gags and NDAs and stuff put across the one.
Yeah, and he won't have, and they will get. He's switched on. He knows what's going to happen. If you stick your head up, right, and you go against the current narrative and start doing things that they don't want you to do, they'll come after you, right? If it's a business or an organization, they'll go after the organization. They will throw as much mud at it as they can. They will try to get it shut down any way they can. And if that doesn't work, the same as with ours, right? They've tried and it hasn't worked. They'll go after the individuals, right? And they will try it there. And that hasn't worked either. So, I'm rooting for this Marine, because he looks strong enough himself, but he realises they'll go after his wife, they'll go after his kids, they'll go after his mates as well.
They've already started.
Yeah, I know, and they will. It looks like all of this, again, right, everything is heading towards that 2030 date. They want this nailed down. They really want it nailed down. They want the housing, the towns going up before then. They want to fill them towns, right? Look, we've had a declining birth rate for the last 40 years, right? Yeah. It's been going down. So we actually don't need any more houses. Right? We've got no one being born that needs more houses. We're having less people being born than die. We're not at replacement level. It's not rocket science. We don't need any more building. All of this building that's going on now, and all of this building that's going to go on, is driven by immigration. They brought 2 million
downstream. All of our problems are downstream.
Yes. So 2 million people came in the last 2 years. They're planning on building 1.5 million homes right across the countryside is where they're going to build them, right? They have completely dismissed every single environmental safeguard that they put in themselves. So they can tear down woodland, they can destroy wetlands, they can desecrate the meadows, they can do whatever they want. The thing that really annoyed me when I read the article was this was just from the Labour Party. They said, we have to be really secretive about where we're going to build these towns, because what we want to do is buy agricultural land with no planning permission at rock bottom prices. And then when we've got it, we will give ourselves planning permission to build a whole town and maximize our profit. But if anyone finds out before we do that, then the price of the land goes up. And I just thought, that's your government telling you that they're so bloody sneaky and underhand that they're going to try and ruin farmers so that they sell their land off so that they can buy it dirt cheap. And then when no one else is allowed to build on it because it's unviable, they will. They will build on it, and they will fill that housing estate, they will fill that town, they will fill that city with 500,000 people that they've just imported from the third world. And not only that, but 40% of those homes will be social housing or low-cost housing, which won't be for you. It will be given to these people.
And we'll be paying the rent on it. Because they're not paying for anything.
The maddening thing. So who pays for that? Well, you do, right? Because they've already figured out, they're talking to these big housing companies, Barratt Homes and Wimpy and whoever else. And they're like, yeah, we'll build the 2-bedroom rabbit hutch houses and the 3-bedroom ones. We'll build those and a couple of 4-bed because we can make some money on those. But we're not building that social housing, right? Because we don't make no money. And we're not building your doctor's surgery that will look after those people. We're not building any of that because we don't make no money. So the government will be paying for that. The only stick in the mud there is the government hasn't got any money, right? The only money the government has is what it takes off of us. That's who's paying for it. So we're paying to build the houses for the very people that the government are bringing in to replace us. brilliant. And they wonder why people get angry.
Absolutely.
They wonder why.
Yeah.
Well, you know, when they announce a new estate or a development, like it doesn't, so many a percentage of it have to be allotted for social housing.
Well, yeah, you'll find this, right, and most people would understand this happens. So let's say someone like Barrett Homes, they go to the council and they say, we want to build 200 houses. And the council will say, you can build the 200 houses, but we want you to put a shop, which they hate doing because they don't make any money out of it. And we want you to build 25 affordable homes or social housing.
Yeah.
And they'll say, okay, we'll do that the minute we get the deal signed. And then once the deal is signed, they'll go, yeah, there's no room for those, those 25. We were going to put them there, but it's not looking good. It's not looking good. We just had another survey done. That land not really viable, so we're going to landscape that. But we will find somewhere to squeeze them in. We will find somewhere. The houses have already been built now. Like the council can't renege on it, and they'll probably stick to. They'll probably put 2 little affordable houses tucked away around the back somewhere, and they'll try to flog those off. And when they say affordable, that'll be like 200 grand. That's affordable. That's affordable. So this never gets done by the big companies. They don't put affordable housing. They put housing that they can make huge profit on. And that's what they want to do. They get an acre of land. They stick 500 houses in it. And they make a huge profit on every single one of them. They're not interested in anything else. So the government are going to, and they've already said, the problem the government's got at the moment is that this will look like a debt when it really should look like investment. It's not. It's a debt. Right? It's never going to be repaid. These people aren't going to pay for it. They're just flying over here, landing, taking welfare, and now they're going to be given a house for free. Yeah. It's not great. Now, you see, if I tried to do that, if I tried to buy a bit of land, a little bit of agricultural land, and let's say I want to put 2 houses on it, they would jump all over me, right? They would jump all over me. Yet they will do exactly the same thing. And using trickery, subterfuge, right? They will not tell people what they're doing because they don't want people to know. They will buy that land at rock bottom prices because it's got no planning permission on it. And the minute they've got it, they'll go and build a whole town on it.
Yeah. Well, Simon, just to say, while you're talking, you and me are talking, I'm going to put up a list. Now, this came into my possession yesterday, and it is all the towns that they are planning to build affordable housing for and accommodate. Serco are planning to build houses to house asylum seekers in rented accommodation. Now, I don't know if anybody can see this list on the thing here. I don't know if I can make that any bigger. But it lists them. Northwest. So, Barrow Inferno, Blackburn, Blackpool, Bolton, all numbered. The Midlands, Birmingham, Boston, Derbyshire Dales.
Quite a big list, Rags, isn't it?
It's fucking mega, and that's just in England. They haven't mentioned Scotland, Wales, or North Ireland.
What Serco are doing now is just offering 5-year deals to private landlords. We will pay whatever rent you want, and any damages, we'll cover that. Anything that needs upgrading, we'll pay for that as well. Guaranteed 5 years. That is just to house migrants that are still coming in at the same rate they've always come in. They're not stopping it. They're not stopping it. They're not slowing it down. What they're doing is just carrying on. The end result is you will live right in a 20-minute neighborhood, right, surrounded by Indians, Somalians, Afghanistanis, fuck knows. You will just live in the worst hellhole, and if you step out of line, that they'll throw you in prison. That's what they have planned. Right? They don't want you. If people said, well, you know what, my little village in Cornwall is a 20-minute sort of area, and if I get to stay here, that's actually not so bad. I completely get that. I completely get it.
Yeah.
Until they build round it, until they fill it, until every rented accommodation is filled with Somalians and Pakistanis and God knows who, whatever country they drag them in from, right? Until you have a fully multicultural, multiracial
shithole,
then you can stay there.
I said it, you didn't, so it's okay. I dropped the link. I dropped the link in there. Woodlander.
It's so frustrating because this was always going to be the end goal, right? And it all ties in together. So the digital ID, the digital currency, the 20-minute neighborhoods, right, and the immigration all tie in. Right? It's one thing. It's to make your life an absolute living hell. And they'll control you. They will control you. The frustrating thing for me, and I had this conversation with a builder who's self-employed. He's quite switched on, and he knows the way things are going. And he said, "Well, I'm not going to have the digital ID," and I'm like, it's going to be really hard, man, because if people are paying, if the only money around is digital currency, right? How are your customers going to pay you? If you haven't got a digital ID, you can't get paid. And he was like, well, they'll have to pay me in some other way. I'm like, yeah, that's fine, but most people aren't going to want it. Most people aren't going to be able to pay you in carrots. Most people are just going to say no. So you want to do a little building job for a guy, you're not going to be able to unless you've got that digital, and you're self-employed.
Yeah.
This is why for the last 5 years I have said to everyone, right, I know it sounds stupid, learn to grow a potato, get a bucket, put some mud in it, cut a potato in half, stick it in the mud, you'll grow potatoes. If you're not self-sufficient, you will have no choice. You're not going to have a choice. If you want to receive money or spend money, you're going to need that digital ID. If you've got that digital ID, you're theirs. They've got you. Yeah. It's kind of that simple. The only people that will break away from this are the people who just say, I'm not having any of it. And that's a big step to take. It really is a massive step. Not many people are at that point yet. And people will start arguing when it comes out, that digital ID comes out, and there'll be arguments. You'll hear them. They'll be like, well, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. You kind of got to have one. Everyone's got to have one.
Oh, yeah, just get one. Just get one.
There you go. Just wear the mask. Just get the vaccine. Just do as you're told. Just walk one way round a shop because that makes all the fucking difference. Put the mask on when you sit down. Take it off when you stand up because obviously that made a difference.
Like someone did a video recently of like going in. I think it was like 30 minutes, and it was like a compilation of all the absolute stupidity that people just went along with. Like, do you remember they said, "Oh, you've got to take your between bites." You've got right, and then you had the school with the brass band with the kids, and they were playing their trumpets through a hole cut out in the mask.
Mate, it's funny. It's funny, but this is what I'm saying. Right, 80% of people will just wear whatever they're told. Right, this is for your benefit. You're going to have a digital ID. It's for the best. You're going to use a digital currency. 80% will go along with it anyway. What's really frustrating is that the 20% should stick at 20%, but it won't. There'll be guys in this chat. There'll be guys in this chat, right, who are adamant that I'm never going to do this. And they will. They will do it because it's the path of least resistance. And people, I'm afraid, are like water. Right? And they will follow the path of least resistance. I get that. I really
like
do.
Electricity.
Yeah.
Your numbers stack up, Simon, because the last experiment they had was worldwide,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was 20%. 20% didn't take it. That's it. 20%.
Here's the thing, right? They know there is going to be a percentage of people that do not buy into this, and not only do they not buy into it, that walk away from it. Literally just go, no, not for me.
Yeah.
The argument I've always got from a lot of people is they will never allow you to walk. They will, right? And if you actually watch videos, their own, like the WEF videos and everything else, they will say, we're in this smart city, you can get a spatula delivered by a drone to your fucking 20-minute neighborhood or whatever, right? You've got all this spangly internet connection, and living out there in the wastelands are these poor individuals that didn't want anything to do with it, right? They talk about them. They will use them as a marketing tool to say, look at them digging in the mud to eat carrots, whilst you get your freshly chopped carrots delivered by a drone to your flat window, and you don't even have to go out.
Mm-hmm.
And
You will own
people
nothing.
will buy it.
You will own nothing and be happy. Who said that?
Well, most people, right, below the age of 30 are in that boat already. Right, they got a car on finance, their phone's on finance, they rent if they can afford it, right? So there's no way they're buying a house. They don't buy records or CDs anymore, Jack. Do you know what I mean? It's a thing of the past. What they do is they have a monthly subscription to Spotify.
Yeah.
They got a Netflix subscription. You don't buy DVDs or that. They've got whatever. Everything is subscription. It's a subscription lifestyle for people under the age of 30. They're totally used to it. They never use cash anyway. Like, money comes in, money goes out on their subscriptions, and that's it. That's their life. They don't go to the pub anymore. They just don't.
No, that's unaffordable.
Yeah, well, yeah, it started off being unaffordable, and that's why people sort of stopped going. But now it's a generational thing. So, it's like that's not what they do. But they don't go raving either. They don't drop an MDMA, right, and have a mad weekend.
No,
that's all gone. Like, youth culture is gone. Like, rebellion's gone. Like, there's just this bland nothingness now, which is exactly what they wanted. And there is pushback. I hear this, all the time, that the Zoomers will be the ones that bring it around. I still think it's only 20% of them. I think 80%. Do you know what I mean? They're quite happy. They're quite happy watching Netflix, playing computer games, and that's their life. That is their life.
Which is another subscription service now, isn't it? If
you
can't go and buy a game and you own that game and you can play it from start to finish. No. You've got to have a subscription to Xbox Live, and then in the game you buy stuff to get to advance. You've got to pay. Imagine it used to be like what, 20 quid for a Mega Drive game, and that was you sorted. What they're laying out now for to play Fortnite and stuff.
I wouldn't know, mate. I really wouldn't. It's like kind of not my forte, but. I see things in on a wide screen, I can't be going down rabbit holes on each individual thing, but on a wide thing. When I talk to people, I talk to youngsters, and how do you live your life? And it's like fucking hell. They've already got it nailed down. The only way is to literally go, we're not going to do this. We're not doing this. Like, there's a better way. We're worth more than this, for God's sake. Right? And it's going to take a few people to do it. The hope there is, right, is if you can build something better and people see it, then they'll want to try it.
Are you saying
they've got to see it? They've got to see it. Right? They've got to see it working. They've got to see that you can buy that, you can build that, and you can live that. If you can do that and you can show them, people will want to try it. You can't just talk about it. You've got to do it. You've got to put it into action. And all I've ever tried to do is say, look, there is a better way. right? There is a better way than what they're offering you. And I've just told you what they're offering you, right, is you are going to live in a 20-minute neighborhood, which you will not be able to leave. You'll be surveilled 24/7. You won't be able to do anything they don't want you to do. You'll be able to spend the money they give you, where they tell you, on what they tell you. That will be your life and the life of your kids and your grandkids. Total control. Or we build something else. Because I can't see any other way around it.
No.
We're not going to get into power, right, in the next 5 years and totally change that system. So we start building now.
In regards to building stuff, where are you now with the Woodlander? Is it, how many plots of land is it, and how
We're
far
just
along are they?
finalising the third one and looking at the fourth. But there's other things in the pipeline. So there's other people talking to us at the moment who want to do bigger things instead of buying small plots of land, which we're still going to do throughout every county. We've got nearly 1,000 members, but a real good push and a big drive on funding and membership hasn't started until we get nailed down the restructure and the safety aspects. The safety aspects for the company, the safety aspects for the funding and the land, and also the safety aspects for every single member. Because what has been apparent over the last year is if they can't come after me anymore. It's just like it doesn't wash. Do you know what I mean? I'm not that bothered. And so they can't do anything. They can't go after the business. They've tried and failed, right? But they could start going after individual members if they find out who they are. So we've got to nail that down and make sure that that doesn't happen.
Have you got attacked by Hope Not Hate? Hope Not Hate listed you, did they not?
Oh yeah. There's a few mental left-wing organisations. I'm not even going to mention their names, like, because they're not worth mentioning, right? And like I said, last week was quite funny because they printed one thing and they were all really, really ecstatic that everything was going to fall apart. And then the very next day, when they realised that they were talking out their arse and didn't know what they were talking about, they had to print a retraction and say, yeah, we got it all wrong. Actually, it is still going ahead, which was good to see. But the thing is, we've got to nail all that down until we open it up to a much bigger audience. But we've already got 1,000 people in there and 1,000 people that want to put in more money. I just want to make sure everything and everybody is safe. And that just takes a little bit of time.
Yeah. No, me and fucking Jacks can't even make their list. You know, and apparently I'm a goose-stepping moron.
They're nuts. You know, there was an article written by just as a left-wing organisation who actually went through what we were doing, and all the way through the article they're saying this is a brilliant idea. What they're planning on doing is buying land, you know, and that's a really good thing. And then they're going to use it for, you know, livestock and camping, and, you know, maybe they're going to grow some stuff in polytons, all good stuff. And they were praising it, right, all the way through. And they said another part of the business is they're talking about collectivizing and helping people set up their own businesses where they could get help with skills and help with funding, interest-free. And again, they were like, this is brilliant, until the closing paragraph. And they said, but they shouldn't be allowed to do it because they're right-wing. Literally that.
Yeah.
Now, what do you do? What do you do with people like that who can see what you're doing, who actually admire it, think it's a brilliant idea, but say that, yes, it is good, right? But you shouldn't be allowed to do it because you're right-wing.
Yeah.
That's just insanity.
How long, Simon? If you were a fucking hippie commune, they wouldn't fucking go near you. They wouldn't bother you.
No. But again, this is what that Marine found, isn't it?
Yeah.
The minute you go against the narrative, right, the minute they understand your politics, even if you're not political and what you're doing isn't political, right, they will come after you.
Yeah, that's true.
I wanted to mention, Simon, that Oriana's been in the news this week. I've seen 2 videos. I've seen the EFF, is it Equity Freedom Fighters or something? Equality Freedom Fighters or something like that. Saying that Oriana must fall.
Yes.
And then I've seen the guy from Oriana doing a very eloquent speech comeback from it.
I don't think it's going to happen. There's a lot of disgruntled, armed white Afrikaners. They're not all in Orania. Orania doesn't suit everyone. But trust me, they're not going to allow that to fall. They're really not. And
what was I calling it? Orania.
Yeah, I just can't see. Like, I mean, the Dutch, the Afrikaans, like, they did the long march the first time, right, after the argument with the British, and you know, they just up sticks and walked off into Africa and found their own place, and they did it again before apartheid, but they could see the writing on the wall, and they bought their own land, and they built Orania in a desert to what it is today. And it's an amazing place. It really is. So they're not going to up sticks. And there's enough eyes on that now, I would hope, that you don't get a Rhodesia, that you don't get a Zimbabwe.
Well, you know, like him or hate him or have no opinion of him whatsoever, Trump and JD Vance are talking about what's going on in South Africa with the
and Musk is
obviously Musk
is watching as well. I mean, he's South African himself. I don't trust Musk, I don't trust Trump, and I don't trust Vance. I don't trust any of these guys, right? But there are enough eyes on it for it not to go the way that the coloured people over there want it to go.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see, won't we? We will have to wait and see.
It's the same. It's the same party as Kill the Boer.
Yeah. And they that's exactly what they want to do.
Afro-Marxism.
Yeah, so you may end up with a small with skirmishes, right? But you know, I don't think it's going to be a governmental shutdown of a completely legitimate legal town that they agreed to in the first place.
Yeah.
Right? And they understand why it was there. Right? These people want to retain their heritage, their culture. They're not looking for outside help or outside assistance. They just want autonomy, right, to live on their own within the legal framework of South Africa. And that was agreed, right, that they should be allowed to do that. Other people are, other groups are. And this is something that I think a lot of us are going to need to look at, is how you can use a liberal democracy, which is what they used, to help you. Right? So a liberal democracy will say, yes, this group here, these Somalians, should be allowed to retain their culture and their heritage and live the way they want to live without, you know, people stopping them. And they want to live in an area. I could see this happening in the UK. They want to live in their own area, and they want to, you know, but within a legal framework of the United Kingdom. I could see that being approved. Well, that's all we're doing.
Yeah. Well, I have a question for you, and it comes from our good friend Sensum, and he sent it via Buy Me a Coffee. He's asked the Woodlander to tell the pub door story. What's the pub door story?
Have you not heard that?
No.
I'll tell it quickly. I had a pub in Gloucester, in a area called Treadworth, which was, so I had a Bail hostel opposite the pub, I had a mosque to that side, and I had the Black Church that side. So it was quite an area, and quite hard You had to be a tough nut to live in that area. Anyway, I had the trouble with one gentleman one night. He was drunk. He was abusing the staff, and I had to throw him out. So I threw him out, and he came back, and he was trying to kick the door in to get back in. Didn't work. He went on his way, threw a brick through the mosque window, got arrested, and the police phoned me up the next day and said, "Look, we've got him on CCTV. We've got him through the mosque window, and we've got him kicking your door," which we checked that night, and it is damaged. So we've charged him with it. And I'm like, well, I'm not pressing charges. Like, I know him. Like, he's local, and he can be a hothead. Anyway, about 3 weeks later, I get a check come through the door for a new door from the police. So I'm like, okay. So I went and bought a new door. I bought this new door. I put it on the pub, and everything's fine. This bloke comes in. I say to him, "You going to behave?" So he says, "Yeah, I'll behave." So anyway, he's drinking his drink, and he says, "I'm not happy." And I said, "Something wrong with the beer?" He said, "No, I'm not happy about that door." And I said, "Well, they want me to press charges. They already had you on CCTV." He said, "I know, but I don't think I should have had to pay for it." And I said, "Well, it was you that kicked it." And he said, "Yeah, I know, but I'm not happy about it. I'd rather you give me my money." And I said, "Well, you got two hopes, mate, and that's Bob Hope and no hope. You ain't getting no money." So he said, "Okay." Anyway, he finished his beer and off he went. The pub I was operating didn't shut until about 4 in the morning most nights. Anyway, about 3:30 in the morning, I'm throwing the old boys out the back bar. "Come on, gents, trying to go," and they're all going out. And as the last one goes, I go to shut the door. There's no door.
Took a door off the hinges.
No front door of the pub. So what he's done, he's drunk his pint, naffed off. I don't know. We figure it's probably about 1 in the morning. He's come back with an electric screwdriver and stolen the fucking door. Now I had to laugh, right? I had to laugh. In his head, like, I pay for the door. I'm having a door. So he's taken the door. But try and shut a pub with no door.
Yeah.
So I've taken the door off the gents' toilet, which is 4 inches too short, and 1 inch too
Like a
narrow.
saloon door.
Literally like a saloon door. Got that up, got the fruit machine out the front bar to lean up against it because I can't lock it. I'm just like, this is a nightmare, isn't it? This is a nightmare. So I phoned the police.
4 in the morning, yeah.
Yeah, I phoned the police and I say, "Do you remember that door, the front door?" And they're like, yeah. I said, "Well, the bloke's been round, he's nicked it." They said, "He's done what? He's kicked it again?" I said, "No, he ain't kicked it. He's fucking nicked it." And all I can hear is this control room full of coppers pissing themselves. And they're like, "What? Like there's no door?" I'm like, "Yeah, like the door's not there. He's stolen the fucking door." Like, and they're like, "Well, I'm not sure what we can do about that." And I'm like, "Oh, look, just forget it. Just forget it." And I think they did. I think they forgot it. And I had to go and get another door. I got another door the next day. But anyway, that's the pub door story. I still, to this day,
you were a landlord. So
to this day, right, I don't know any other landlord that can say, "Yeah, the bloke came back and he stole the front door."
There he is. He's in the chat there. You're only meant to blow the bloody doors off.
thank you for the coffee, Sensum.
Hats off to the guy that stole it, though, because even I laughed. Even I laughed, right, because the audacity of it is just brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, he went into some effort there to steal the door.
Yeah. Well, you know, it probably wasn't that difficult. How difficult with a cordless drill these days? You just fucking undo it, fling it in the back of your pickup, and off you go. But yeah, it was a good pub. It was a good pub.
Yeah. God, I bet you've got some stories from that pub, haven't you? Just alone.
Yeah, one or two.
Yeah.
Anyway, gents, look, listen. Things are all moving, you know, and they're all moving in that horrible direction. But there is things we can do. I know everyone in the chat's kind of knows what I'm doing, and most people are on board with it. The ones that aren't, get on board, like, just do it. We got a camping family day down there, end of May, 23rd to the 20th.
Do you want to give the website out? Do you want me to put it into the chat for you?
Yeah, yes, if you can. Weekend of 23rd of May.
Is it woodlanderinitiative.co.uk?
That's it, mate.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to come down to Wales, you're more than welcome.
The outfits arms. Toffee's on a roll tonight in Ugly Truth. Our two top comedians. So then they get me laughing and I can't stop. I've already said to him, John, he sounds as if he's in the toilet because the mic is behind his head. And it's a directional mic.
It's got a little bit floppy.
Directional mic. You know, you have to speak into it.
That should be a bit better.
James, I'm going to go in a minute because I'm going to go cook my wife's tea. But look, don't get blackpilled. There is loads of weird stuff that this government is doing, like trying to block out the sun, like using AI to build these 1.5 million houses. Apparently, they're not going to get builders to build them. It's all going to be done in factories using AI. Look, let's just get stuff done ourselves. Like, we know we're not going to vote a political party into office that's going to change anything. Like, reform's not going to change anything. And sadly, none of these smaller political parties are going to get there. Not in 5 years, not in a decade. If the BNP couldn't do it, like, it's unlikely. So let's look outside the box. Let's look at what we can do together. Not just buying land, right? But maybe buying property, maybe looking at other ideas as well. I'd really like to get involved with helping people who have got their own business. Right? We need to build our businesses, keep the money within our own group. We need to collectivize. We need to network. We need to get talking more like we're doing now. We need to meet in person as well, which is why I said, look, come down to Wales. There'll be a whole gang of us there. We'll sit around a campfire, right? No censorship. We can say what we want. Well, we need to do this stuff. We need to get offline as well as talking online. Meet up in person.
Yeah. Oh, totally agree. You were talking about homes and stuff, but I've been watching videos that are coming up from the Republic of Ireland there, and they're literally trucking in what they call a modular home, and it looks plastic. It looks like a plastic prefabbed tent which sleeps 4 people.
Yeah, and well, I said to Joe Marsh on that last stream, you've had a homeless problem in Wales for decades, and they've done nothing about it. You know what I mean? They might stick them all in a warehouse, right? But then that gets unfunded, and then they're back out on the streets again. And yet now they've just built 2 whole housing estates to house migrants. Right, and these things have got like bathrooms, showers, fully furnished, beautiful. And yes, they are they're porta cabins, right? But I tell you what, right? How many 17, 18-year-olds, if you went, do you want one of these for free, would turn it down? Like, do you want to move out your mum and dad's house, stand on your own 2 feet? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to give you a starter home. Or even if you said to them, it's going to cost you $5,000, how many of them would say no? But they won't do that. They won't think outside the box. All of these ideas should be coming from us.
Here, Simon, I holidayed as a kid in Benone Caravan Park, and it was a stationary caravan. It was like a 40-foot mobile home thing.
Yeah.
2 months of the year, every year. And we were as happy as Larry. It had a shower.
Yeah, man, nothing wrong with them. I've got good friends of mine live in statics on their own land. Mate, they're huge. They're bigger than my boys are in a 2-bed house, and I'm not kidding. Like, downstairs is 1 room. You've got the kitchen and living area is 1 room. So you can imagine how small the upstairs is.
Yeah.
Tiny. A static's twice the size of that.
Yeah. My eldest boy,
But we're not doing this. We're not helping our own people. All of this stuff, which is available, is going to house people that have been there 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And they don't pay for it. And they don't deserve it, to be honest. They put nothing in the pot. All they want to do is take out.
Yeah. My oldest boy, he got married last year, and her family, they came back from Australia and they moved down into, it's Armagh, somewhere around there. And the bungalow that they bought, what they did was to save the young fella and his new wife trying to get on the housing ladder, they paid for and had erected a log cabin. You can actually buy a log cabin, and it's static.
Comes on a loader,
and it comes in sections.
Yeah.
And the boys steel rod, concrete base.
You're talking to the wrong guy, mate. I could build you one cheaper than you could buy it, right?
Yeah.
But
I know a guy who can do it cheaper.
There's so many things out there now, right? And if you know, I mean, there's so many companies. They'll build you a log cabin that meets caravan legislation. You can put that within your curtilage, so in your garden, no planning permission needed. There's loads of places you can put them, right? There are rules and regulations. If you want to know what they are, drop me a line. Well, I'm not gonna say everything on live, because we know who's listening. Right? We know who's listening, and they'll only try and use it against us. But there are things you can do, man, to get out of the system. You can help yourself, right? And until that time comes where you are like, actually, I can't do this anymore, I've got to get out, right? Then use this system to your advantage. Make as much money as you can. Start a side business, right? And we've got to start pulling together. We've really got to collectivise and help each other.
Yeah,
agreed. Well, we better let you go. And cook your wife some dinner. What you got on the pot tonight, then?
I don't know what she's going to have tonight, mate. She's easily pleased, which is handy with my cooking. But gents, it's been an honour, right? Thank you very much for having me on.
It's always brilliant.
Thank you for the chat. I'll speak to you all soon. I'll bang another video out early next week. Good night, lads. Good night to the chat. I'll see you soon.
Take care, bud.
Great then. Well, you got any funnies to play after that?
Oh, I always have funnies to play.
Oh yeah. Can you play the Harry Enfield one?
I've been laughing at this all week, folks, and I must have watched this about 50 times. So here we go. You ready?
Yeah, let's have a bit of uplifting gold.
So he's a queer. He's a queer.
Oh, fuck you know.
That's brilliant. What else have we got for you?
Good night, Sensum, pal.
Night, Sensum.
I'll be in touch, mate.
We've got a couple of queer ones for you.
Queer. Probably queer.
Probably queer. Right, here we go.
And I sucked on Joe Biden's hairy balls once. They're kind of sweaty, but I sucked them anyways. I don't know, maybe about 25, 45 minutes.
Okay, next one. Dave Allen, one of the greatest Irish comedians of all time.
I was talking to a man the other day who was leaving, decided to immigrate, decided to leave this country. And I said, why are you leaving? He said, it's homosexuality. I said, what are you talking about? He said, 300 years ago, if you were homosexual, you were hanged, drawn, and quartered. 100 years ago, if you were homosexual, you were hanged. 50 years ago, if you were homosexual, you were flogged and given 20 years in prison. 20 years ago, if you were homosexual, you were fined £200 and sent to prison for 2 years. 5 years ago, if you were homosexual, you had a small fine and you were pardoned. Got off with a warning. I said, well, what are you leaving for? He said, I'm going before they make it compulsory.
Brilliant.
Who we got next week?
Bootneck.
Bootneck.
Andy Bootneck. So he'll probably, hopefully, he'll have talked to old your man's brother, your Royal Marines brother, Plastic Scott. So I'll have a bit more information about that. Other than that, yeah, well, we'll see what the week brings.
If you enjoyed that, folks, give us a thumbs up. I don't think we said anything weird, so I'm going to leave this one up. Just test the waters with YouTube, and that leaves me to say good night, God bless, or in my case, Odin bless.